So, what's up guys? Today we got a Washburn, very dusty old Washburn from a good friend of mine, Hank Cisneros. But he's telling me this thing hasn't worked over a couple of years now, which I honestly don't know why it wouldn't, but overall. This video is going to basically go over how to test and see why it's not connecting to the input. And right now we're going to be running out of a M80 Chorus old school amplifier, my personal favorite. But yeah, so with that being said, hope you enjoy. Okay, so first things first. Let's go ahead and just loosen up strings. Hopefully we don't snap them. If I do, oh well. I got some stuff to replace it. So, just gonna loosen up the strings just like that. Kind of relax that. As you saw when I loosened them up, that relaxed that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in on this blind. What I would normally do if I was at the shop, I would just plug it into an amp, make sure that it doesn't turn on. However, he told me more than once that this thing does not work whatsoever, so I'm going to go ahead and take it on his word that it doesn't, and maybe I open this up and it's like that easy. We'll find a couple loose wires and that's it. Usually you run into this part of where you really can't get it out. And that's where things become a bit tricky, because you have such a thin edge. It's funny because at the store I actually have a razor blade, but here I have this, something a little bit smaller, and you just want to go in on the side, slowly lift it, ever so slowly, and be careful. You're using something that small. They do make flatheads that are as small as a razor, but not sharp, of course. And if I had that, I would, well, rather much use that. Okay, so what we got here now is, I don't see anything that's disconnected. That's interesting right here. Oh, there's our wire. What is this to? I wonder. It kind of makes everything question itself, don't it? Okay. Because that's the tone. That's the volume, of course. That's grounded off. So this is a ground wire that needs to go to something. Okay, so I found out where this little thing goes. If you look very, very closely at that right there, zoom in for you. If you look closely at that, it is going to go right there, and that's where it's split off. So here's the cool part about all this is you gotta be very, very careful. But from what I discovered, I'm gonna pull out the razor again to take out that coating on there. It's a flash coating that they use on electrical. It's kind of like a wax film, and it keeps anything from like grounding out to something and creating a hum or whatnot. There we go, a nice, decent, shiny piece. Okay, and also if you're trying to do this stuff, the best thing to invest in is a unit that you can manage real well in extreme temperatures. I use the Weller. Gets up to a couple hundred degrees Celsius, and I like it because I could be in a decently cold area and I'll still be able to do my soldering job. However, most soldering irons, you're not able to do that because, well, you're fighting with the solder getting very, very cold versus very, very hot. And usually the best place to solder is, in my opinion, a hot area. Luckily, I'm doing this in the bare cusp of the fall. There Voila, fresh new wire. So there's the wire, just trimmed it, and now what I like to do is just heat up the tip a little bit. It kind of pushes that black wire back a little bit, forming a hard solid point, and now we just coat it. And don't do a whole lot, just do enough to kind of get it right on there. You don't need every single like thickness of solder. You don't need a ball or a glob. Okay. And now, see how I got all that cut off with the razor and also filed it down just for good measure. Now what I'm going to do is just get it and press. And you see all that bubbling right there. Just like that. And don't blow on it. Try not to breathe on it either. Cool it down. You will create a cold solder, and you'll have some extreme issues that, well, you honestly don't need. And that is how you just do a basic solder point. Kind of made too much of a tip right there, but oh well, it's on there. That is connected. That is what I wanted. And now time to put it back together. Just literally gonna feed this into its hole. Make sure you face the wires in the proper direction. Hold the guitar, and voila, here you go. Hold it in, turn it by hand at first. You go both ways with the turning. You make sure that it cannot be popped off. Okay, so just got to tighten this stuff down really hard. You can just throw your stuff on there. That is done. This thing should work. We're going to plug it in here in a second and check it out. Alright, so this is where things get interesting. Volume's at 5. Volume on this, nothing. So that tells me that there's more wrong to this than I even thought. So with that being said, I am willing to bet that one of those wires to the volume are not even soldered. I'm honestly wondering if this pot is bad. If that's the case, it's going to suck because I don't have any here. So the lead was never actually attached. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and redo this one. With this one, because I got to put it in a hole, I'm going to twist it, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of solder onto it, get it nice and thin. That cool off on its own. And then I'm going to come over here with this one, actually. Jesus, all these are just hanging on by threads. Let's go ahead and just remove this and let it drop. Just gently put it up to it, and that's it. Just rotate it like that. Pull it off. Got yourself some fresh wire. And then, bada bing, bada boom. Just like that. Alright, now let's go ahead and try not to burn ourselves. I mean, if it happens, it happens. Okay. I'm going to just heat this part up. Pull away all that excess crud. Get it back on there. There we go. We got ourselves that original hole. Now, got to also think and consider what direction this sucker is going to go in. You're going to want to actually see which way it's going to go and how it's going to sit. You get your cables, put it in the hole like such, and just kind of make them align with it. Now, what I'm going to do, I don't recommend. And it's not, skill has nothing to do with it. It's just a matter of being precise, keeping your cool, and layering everything out. So I'm gonna let that sit like that. Use the wires as its own support system. Heat it up, and then drop some solder. Really cool about it. All I gotta do is just push that in. Pull out the other one. Like I said, I don't recommend this way because a lot of variables can happen. You can burn the crud out of yourself. You can melt a cable. You can damage the cable. You can. It's just, the list goes on. However, me, I like the way I do certain things, and I am content with it. And voila, there you go. Now it's in there. I'm going to clip this excess off. Just like that, people. I'm going to try and do the same with grounds. Emphasis on try. Once I do this, okay, we should have signal traveling from one spot to another. Also got to be careful how I tighten that potentiometer, because again, variables and problems can occur in the most messed up, slightest of ways. You don't want that. So there's also another reason why I'm feeding this right underneath those cables. It's because I want this to sit right underneath all that crud. You don't ever want to like lay cables on top of cables, because then you kind of shorten the length that you're trying to go at that point. And there's multiple other ways of doing it than when I'm doing it. You can just like kind of scratch that surface off and ground it to that, or put it to this other side. But you always want to try and get the first couple letters of what it says. You don't ever want to fully solder something in, like, oh gosh, I don't know what pot it is. It's like, ugh. I mean, at that point it just becomes preference. Whatever pot you want to put in it, just throw it in there. And now we're going to let that hang and heat it up, and we're going to just drop some solder onto it. Ever so lightly. Now the way I did it is very risky, because as you can see, I dropped the solder right there. The opening's right there. If you get solder into that opening, one of two things: either you're going to have to take apart all that, bend it back, open it, clean it out if you haven't damaged the board, or just scrap this and get a whole new one. As you can see right there, it just pretty much morphed to the surface, and everything kind of just is fully now grounded, wired correctly. I don't have nothing else, just, yeah, I have a perfect wire right there. Drop that sucker right in there again, brace it. Okay, there's that. Let's test this bad boy. All right, let's try this one more time. Watch, I flip it and like, kaboom. Ooh, never mind. Almost though. Wow, that is not getting anything to it still. After we fixed the leads, that is very, very interesting. Oh, wow, okay. It's the switch. Yeah. So, fun fact. What if I go get my contact cleaner real quick, spray some of that stuff in this, and then, well, we'll see if it actually works. Because I'm getting something, but that switch is just jacked. Alright, so just went out and got some of this stuff. This is very old, but my whole thing is let's try it. Let's just see what happens. And if we can actually get sound to come out of this sucker the way we need it. Now, usually you get like a tube with the funk out. Fortunately, I lost mine, so let's just do our very best to spray this in there. Yeah, you're going to get some running down. 2 whoops. Alright. Might be a good idea to also hit that input jack. The reason being is a little tap just makes all the difference, and run it through a couple times just to make sure that it kind of bites into it. And well, let's go and start off with the top. Oh my god, wow. Alright, so there you have it. Sometimes it could be loose wires, sometimes it could be dirty pots, just like in my last video. So you always check, just make sure that all your stuff's working. And just remember, all the above, people. Like, okay. Now this pickup, neck and middle pick. Middle pick. So this guitar is officially fixed, and just gonna give it a good wipe down, and well, hope you all enjoyed this little lesson demonstration on how to clean your stuff and how to test to see what's going on and why it doesn't work. When all else fails and you're at the end of it, you're like, wow, it's still not working, wiggle a couple of things, see if something needs to be cleaned out. And sure enough, that switch, instead of replacing it, just put a little bit of contact cleaner in it. Alright people, good to go. That is that for this Washburn. And you guys enjoy the video. I enjoyed doing this little demonstration for y'all. And you all have a good night, good day, whatever. Peace.